How's everybody doing? We're gonna wait a little bit until people come in.
Boy, you just came in.
I came in.
Rush.
Well,
ready to go.
Yeah, my mind is ready to go, but my body was a little bit. As you know, this weekend I was in pain. I couldn't walk. As a matter of fact, I couldn't walk until just a minute ago.
10 minutes ago, yeah.
And then I realized, oh my goodness, the pain is better. That pain that I had on my back, I threw my back out.
Yeah.
Lucky for me, I have friends that, that are the greatest.
Yep, that are in the business of
fixing my back.
That are back fixers.
Mm-hmm. So, so today I didn't go to work because I was hurt. I was hurting. I spent the whole entire day in bed.
Yesterday and today.
Yeah, and of course you went to have your test done for the upcoming movie you're doing.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of having another COVID test today. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
So I had to travel to Saratoga Springs,
mm-hmm.
and that was a trip.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically you're just in and out.
Right.
No muss, no fuss.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came right back, and then I have to go back Wednesday.
Yes.
But that's life.
That's the nature of the business right now.
Hi, Daryl.
Hey, Daryl. How
Daryl
you doing?
is here. He's joining us from sunny Florida.
Sunny Florida.
He said he's down there for the week with his brother. Daryl, I hope you have fun. And I feel like we can't see our plant in the back.
While you're talking, I'm gonna clean my glasses because I can't see right now.
So I'm gearing up for long 7 or 8 days, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have travel again on Wednesday, and then next Monday I'm back in Saratoga for the actual shoot date. I'll be filming on the film Paint, starring Owen Wilson.
Wow! Oh, you're allowed to say it now? Okay, cool.
Well, yeah, it's public knowledge. They posted about it. They put out the press announcement, and they have been actually casting for background roles. So if you guys want to do some background acting, let me know and I'll send you the information. The one good thing now about background acting, because when I was doing it before, pre-pandemic, you could be on set for like 10 hours.
Yeah.
Doing background.
10 hours, that's a long time. I remember those days.
Yeah, remember those days?
Yeah, I remember those days.
Good times.
Yeah,
Good times.
I remember one of those overnight too. I was freezing when we
were shooting Skin.
Yeah, that was something else.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the guests that we have tonight have things in common.
Okay.
The commonality is that they're both local. We both know them.
Mm-hmm.
I know Ben, and of course you know
Eddie. Mm-hmm.
Eddie.
Yeah.
And we know. I know Ben when he was a little kid, and I'm going to bring up some stories maybe that you remember. Maybe you remember, maybe not.
Yeah. So Ben's coming in later on, right?
Yes, he's
coming in later on.
I see you on the studio though, but
what's our for tonight? It's Mind Body Monday.
It's body mind, but it doesn't matter. We trade.
Body, mind. Oh yeah.
Yeah, body, mind Monday. And
hey Vince, what's up?
Hey Vince. How are you?
So I'm very excited because Eddie is very dear to my heart.
Right.
He is like my third brother.
Okay.
Yeah, he's like my third brother.
Well, I spend sometimes with Ben and his family, and I'm going to bring that up later. Vince will be interested on this because we have Ben coming on later, and Vince was in Analyze This.
Okay.
In the movie Analyze This. See the connection there? See what I did?
Okay.
Yeah, Analyze This. Yeah,
Yeah. That's the film that you were looking for.
Yeah.
So let me just tell you guys a little bit about Pedro. When Pedro looks for something, he tears up the entire house. And he does the same thing actually when he cooks. So it was like, oh, honey, I'm looking for this movie. All of the DVDs will be out in the living room, in the bedroom, underneath. And the movie is always like in a very conspicuous place, not inconspicuous, a very conspicuous place. So it's like you didn't have to do this. And then just the mess, it just, I love you.
Well, today it was worse because today I tried to cook and I was, like I said, only one leg was working.
Oh my gosh.
And I couldn't bend down.
Yeah.
So I'm cutting the potato, and one of the potato flew off on the floor. My wife is away.
Yeah. And I come home.
And she comes home and there's potato on the floor.
There's food on the floor. Potatoes, there was a pepper, some onion wrapper.
Oh.
Listen, if you are gonna cook, you might as well use every dish in the house, right?
Oh, Vince, yeah, I remember those photos. I think you're talking about the one I sent you on your DM, and from when we were.
Oh, from when we were at that event.
Yes, I think that's what it is. So you actually did modeling with Eddie also. Too.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. And that was it was a really
that was a while ago.
Ooh, don't go back that far.
Look,
oh gosh, you're gonna show it.
Look at this.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
She's a baby. We're babies in that picture. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. So let's bring Eddie in. He just came in the studio. And please take that picture down. We were both like 10 years old. Oh my gosh.
Wait a minute.
Hey.
I saw that really old modeling picture when I entered the studio. What's going on?
Well, I saw the photo on the refrigerator, and I wanted to know who he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was so. I actually met that photographer. I was rollerblading in Central Park, and he stopped me and, do you model, and blah, 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 all of that. And he was like, do you have a female that could do a shoot with us? And I was like, oh my God, I have the most beautiful black girl. She's like 5'9", light eyes, gorgeous, whatever. And he's like, perfect. And that was the shoot.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. Well, so you guys go back a long
way back.
Like
babies and
from kids.
Yeah.
Like from what I heard from bread and ketchup.
Bread and ketchup bread?
Wait a minute. Somebody did their research.
I always do.
So, oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, I think I knew, Crystal, you had to be super young because Lynn and Tyrone and I are I believe the same age, or Tyrone might be 1 year older than me. And so we've known each other forever. Like Crystal was, if not a baby, a toddler.
Mm-hmm.
And so we literally grew up in the church together. Same foundation in terms of spiritually. Our families were extremely, extremely close. Sang in the same choir and went to the same school until, Sister Beeman moved them out of Liberty and they moved to Monticello.
Mm-hmm.
I think Lynn was in 8th grade, I want to say, or 9th grade maybe, when he moved.
I was 10, so I was in 5th grade. So he was in high school.
Yeah.
He was definitely in high school.
So it was around that time. And then years later, after I finished, I was at NYU and I was finishing up and I was telling Lynn, I think that he should come to New York. And he's like, oh, I've been thinking about it. It's one of the things that I wanted to do. And I go, you could be my roommate, come to New York, get out of Monticello, Liberty, just try to do something different, have a different experience. And so we lived together for a few years. And then he met Carmen while he was working in New York City. And then the rest is history. They have 4 beautiful kids and moved back upstate. But New York City is my home, so I obviously stayed here. I am not going back up there.
Well, you know what, like you said before that I do my research, as I was going through your photos, you look like you let yourself go.
Ooh, dang. Didn't we just start? We're already jabbing and sticking, moving, slip. I know you're a martial artist, but I teach cardio kickboxing too now.
Listen, we have a history with that.
No, yeah. The thing that it's interesting because, I think I was always, I started doing media shortly after I finished school. So, Crystal knows this firsthand. We're basically paid to look a certain way. And we're in sales from the respect of we're selling our look, we're selling our brand, what we're bringing to the table. You have to have very thick skin. I remember one time at a go see, the agent was like, I think I was at Wilhelmina, and he's like, oh, you'll work. You're no Tyson Beckford, but you'll make some money. I was like, okay. I told my friends, I was like, he said, I'll make some money. I was like, they were like, but didn't you hear everything else he said? I go, I could harp on that, or I could take the positive and use that positive to catapult me forward. So in this industry, the big thing is take what's positive, because you're going to hear everything, the good, the bad, the ugly. Take that good and use that good as fuel to do better, to be better. And, that's what I'm sure Crystal does. And that's what I've been doing this whole entire time. So just being desirous of being the best version of myself. It's interesting. One of the people that booked me on a bathing suit shoot years ago, one of the pictures I took, I didn't shave. I have a little hair showing at the bottom. He's like, you need to shave that. I was like, nobody's booking my old self in no underwear or bathing suits ads, so I don't have to shave anything.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I love that. I remember some years back, Eddie had called me up and we were talking about this shoot that he had coming up. It was for this morning show.
Yeah.
It was like 3 degrees outside. It was freezing. It was the morning show with Mike and Juliet, and you were
rebounder. You were the rebounder.
The urban rebounder.
Urban rebounder.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
It was freezing.
I've had quite a few shoots in very cold weather. One time I was on the 40-something floor for it was a CD cover. So I was modeling, like I was holding a hat. So my face was covered, but I was in a bathing suit and you could see my entire body and like flexed and whatever. Literally, Crystal, they had me on the edge of the building. So if I rolled, I would have fallen 50 stories. like 40 stories.
That's crazy.
I was holding it here. It was so cold outside. And that was like the height of like America's Next Top Model. So when they finished and they're like, oh, we got the shot, I was like, Tyra would be proud of me. I was so cold.
Yeah.
But, you know, you do whatever the job requires. And you figure out a way to muster up, you know, that energy and, you know, whatever is calling for, you want to give them exactly what they're looking for. And so we do it because we're passionate about it. We do it because we love it and we have fun. And there's so many people, unfortunately, that are doing jobs that they don't have fun, or they may not be passionate about what they're doing. So it's nice when you have the ability to make money doing what you love.
I was saying that to Layla the other day, because, you know, there's a lot of kids that they don't know exactly what they want to do right now. And I told her that's okay, but just do something that you love to do, because you don't want to be in a job 10 years down the road and then be miserable. Exactly. So I am a huge proponent for that. So and when I watch your videos, I can tell that you're having fun, and that you're passionate.
Right.
So tell us about, let's see, what did we want to chat with him about? The new piece of equipment.
Oh, the DB method.
Wow. Yeah, the DB method.
Is it? Wait, everything is backwards, right? I think I'm going the wrong way. Can you see it? There it is.
Yes.
So, the pandemic for a lot of people was horrible. You know, people lost loved ones, became really sick, were isolated. You know, New York City, we have a lot of people that live by themselves and, you know, in studio apartments, you know, not like upstate where everyone is in a home and it's spacious. And so people were mentally challenged and there was a lot going on. And so my heart goes out to anyone and everyone in the sound of my voice that went through something during that time. But, you know, one of the things that happened for me is the casting director had taken one of my classes at an Equinox at Rockefeller Center. And so the DB method was already like, had a nice buzz and was getting press. And then Kim Kardashian endorsed it and it blew up.
Wow.
And so, you know, people were talking about it, you know, all over. And they were looking to start an app because all of their classes were done on a YouTube channel. And so she reached out to me and I had never heard of it before. And, you know, like you, I want to research it before I actually do it, but I didn't know when or where I would get my hands on one. And so one of our really close friends, Stacy, had recently bought a home in New Jersey. Beautiful, beautiful home. And they put a gym in their basement, gym, theater, the whole 9 yards. And so we went out to dinner and then they're like, her husband's like, oh, you guys got to stop by the house before you go back into the city so you can see our gym. Oh, okay, you know, Eddie, you got to see the gym. I was like, let me see what's going on. So when we're going and we're lifting and we're acting crazy. Now, Crystal knows her. You know, I'm dressed up. I have my labels on, my Louboutin sneakers on and just everything. And my Burberry scarf. And we know we had just going out to dinner.
Right.
And so I look in the corner and there's a DB method machine in the corner of their place. Wow. My audition is in 4 days. So I had her take a picture of me fully dressed on the DB, like, you know, gleaming. And I sent that picture to the casting director. And I said, guess what? My friend Baba, and told her the story. She's like, oh, that's awesome. Went in. She had me do like impromptu exercises. She's like, you know, we really focus on the glutes with this machine, but what are some alternatives that you would do? So on the spot, like I was like, oh, you could do this and this and this. And she's like, I'm going to tape you. And I was like, okay, if you're going to record me and send it to the execs, you know, let me do it as if I was teaching a class. So I just went into teaching a class mode and they casted me. So they casted 4 trainers. And at the time, you know, Crystal knows this, but I wasn't really big on social media because, you know, I was working out other places. So I look at the people that they cast, 5,000 followers, 10,000 followers, 20,000 followers, and then one of the females, she had over 50,000 followers. And I had, I think at that time, it was like 2, maybe 1 and like some change. So I was like, dang, I guess I need to step my game up. But the fact that they didn't solely predicate whether or not they would choose me based off of my social media presence was awesome. You know, they really took it based off of what I was bringing to the table, and my experience with them has been absolutely amazing. And, you know, now that I'm doing more online stuff, I haven't paid for any followers or done anything that I know some people do, but, you know, I'm over 5,000 now. And, and it's, you know, really the fitness, doing all of the fitness online and booking DB Method and, you know, booking the Equinox app. Because even though I work for them, you know, for example, there are about 550 instructors in New York City, and less than 15 of us were working during the pandemic. Wow. So I have to be grateful and be thankful that throughout this whole entire time, I was working. I was making money. And, you know, I was blessed to be in the situation that I was in.
Right. Because you were doing Instagram workouts at the very beginning of the pandemic. Because I remember before we started, you had started, and I was taking some of your workouts on Instagram, on his Instagram lives.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, but that was, but you have to, like I said, that wasn't something that I had already been doing. So one of my friends who also works for Equinox, he's also an instructor on The Mirror. I don't know if you've heard of it, but The Mirror is a really big workout that is phenomenon that is everywhere. It was also featured on SNL. He actually was the instructor that they featured on SNL when Saturday Night Live actually did a spoof about The Mirror. He was the guy that was on The Mirror that they used. So it was like one of the first 2 days of the pandemic. He actually wrote, hey guys, there are some really amazing trainers out there that if you need to do workouts because your gym is closed, you should follow. And he named me. Wow. So I was like, oh, I guess I need to start doing some workouts online. All right, guys. And so it was literally his inspiration. And my first day out of the gate, I think I made like $180 of just people like Venmoing me whatever they wanted. And I was like, oh, okay. And, you know, it was awesome. I never in the beginning charged. I just said, send me whatever you can. And it was really, really nice.
So how did you get started on working out? What made you go into that fitness?
So growing up, I had friends, Lynn, Tyrone, Kasim, who ended up going to the NFL. Like, we were all really big on working out in some respect. So by the time I graduated high school, my best sport was track. I was a 400-meter hurdler. I was going to run in college. But I also played football. And I sat the bench in basketball, but, you know, I did play. And so, so then I went on to, and I always was there. I was a dancer, even though we grew up very religious and our parents didn't want me dancing. It was just something that I was good at, you know? So in 10th grade, I was teaching dance, summer programs, you know, but they hired me as a teacher. So literally as a 10th grader, I was making $27 as a teacher teaching dance for a summer program because they were paying me what they would pay a teacher. And this is back in the day. So if I'm in 10th grade, you know, this is early 90s, as a kid making $27 an hour. And that's not so bad,
Right, exactly.
So I was always doing something. And I was studying abroad. I studied abroad in high school, but then I also studied abroad in college. And my junior fall, I met a couple of models and, did some stuff out there, whatever. So at NYU, one of the guys came to visit because he booked a contract here in the city, as a modeling contract. And so he needed to find a gym. So we literally were walking around the gym pit, like looking for a gym for him. And we walked into a Bally Total Fitness, and that's when Bally Total Fitness had like 400 clubs across the nation. They were huge. And so I already had a job working in retail, 34th Street. I was already going to NYU, like getting my master's, like studying. And so I was booked. But, me, just curious Eddie, how would you get a job here? And the girl that was, selling him the membership was like, ooh, they would look at you. I had a tank top on. She's like, ooh, they would hire you on the spot. And I was like, ha, 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 chuckle, chuckle, chuckle. She goes to get his paperwork, brings in a paperwork and brings in the regional for New York City. And and she goes, oh, I hear you want a job. I was like, yes. Pulls me in a different office, interviews me, hires me on the spot.
Wow.
So he gets a membership, and I was hired to start. So I'm gonna pause because Daryl asked me where did I study abroad. So I studied abroad in Paris. I studied abroad in high school, 10th grade 2 weeks, 11th grade 6 weeks, 12th grade 2 weeks, and then my junior fall. So I actually did AP French in high school, and I was a double minor in undergrad, and one of my minors was actually French. But back to fitness. And so, so I got hired as a membership advisor to sell memberships. But you're selling memberships, but of course you're in the element, so you're working out as well. And, you get into it. And then they promoted me to assistant general manager. And I quit my job in retail. And so I was focusing on the gym and focusing on school. And during that time, they had an opening for a training and development manager. And my master's from NYU is English education. I was actually a certified New York City teacher, but this is the reason why I never ended up teaching, is because I got contracted by Bally to be one of the faces of their company. So that's how I blew up in fitness. I would do The View, The Today Show. I did a segment with Wendy Williams, like you name it. And back then, it was before Shaun T got big. Like I was big in fitness, and I would walk down the street and people would know who I was. Like when I started dating my partner, he was like, I was in California and I think you're on a billboard. And I was like, so it was an amazing 4 years. Donna Richardson show, Ebony Magazine. I did choreography 2 years for the Miss Black USA pageant. I did choreography for the N channel, which was a kids channel. I just had so many opportunities. I worked with the NFL, so they would fly me to Hawaii. Nikki and I would be flown to Hawaii to work with the NFL wives while the men were working out. It was something for the wives to do. We would train the women outside, on these beautiful grounds. I think we were at the Fairmount in Maui or something like that. Like it was crazy. It was awesome. So, fitness has given me so many opportunities, like Bermuda, staying at the Atlantis Hotel, doing cruises, and then it enabled me to do like movies because I was contracted. So Crystal knows this, like the way it works in the industry, if they contract you, you're getting paid even if you're not doing something. So for example, like if Crystal booked a cosmetic campaign, they would say, okay, for this year, we're going to pay you $80,000, but you're going to work 20 days. Yeah. The problem is she has to work the 20 days they give her, and she has to be available at that time, but she's going to get the $50,000. So that's how it works.
Yeah.
So I was contracted like that. And so I was making this money, like I bought a house off the money, whatever, but there was so much downtime that's when I would do like the modeling or the commercials. Like I did a Wrigley's commercial for Germany. I was on like Concrete Jungle or something, like a Brooke Shields show. I was a security guard on the Brooke Shields. Like you do all these different things because you have all this free time because you're getting paid regardless. You know, so yeah, but 2008 when everything like crashed 2 weeks before Christmas, I lost my contract.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And literally they did it over the phone. Yeah. So I had a trip booked to Tel Aviv. I had a house mortgage. I had a brand new Cadillac. You know, I was living the life. I was like, you know, they're putting me up in this house. I'm on this show. And then just abruptly, it was just gone. And friends were like, you should still go on your trip. I was like, but I have no money coming in, the house of this. And they're like, when you get back, God will work it out. You know, that was kind of, and it's like, well, I hope so. Cause you know, this prayer is not paying that mortgage, but you know, it took about 3 months. And Equinox called me out of the blue. I didn't apply.
Wow.
Someone had come across all of the stuff that I had done. And that's how I ended up at Equinox.
At Equinox.
Okay.
So I lost my contract in December and I was hired at Equinox in March.
Cool.
Wow,
That's
amazing.
awesome.
So Eddie, tell our viewers where they can pick up the DB Method machine and any online classes that you are having, even if it's not DB Method.
Okay, so the DB Method machine, awesome. Not just because they're paying me, but I really, really do recommend it. It is geared towards your lower body, but what it also does is it pulls emphasis away from your ankle joint and your knee joint. And if you have any trouble with your hips, giving you a nice rounded motion to do squats, really activating your glutes, your quads, your hands, and protecting those joints at the same time. But there are a myriad of exercises that you can do on it. Literally just Google DB Method. You'll go to their site and you can purchase a machine. The machine will run you about $250, and then they have a lot of different accessories. I highly recommend the accessories. Once you get your DB Method machine and their accessories, you download their app. You know, whether you have an iPhone or an Android, whatever you have, you can download their app. And then you take classes off of their app.
Oh, okay.
And I teach classes on their app. So you have Allegra, myself, Aaliyah, and oh my God, Andrew. We're all on the app teaching classes, and you could just take classes from us on their app. Also, I have paid classes, and my paid classes, I do ERC 143 paid workouts, and that's via Instagram. So I charge $90 a month, and I teach 4 classes. Like I just taught a class, which is the reason why I taught one, and then I had to like rush, put on a presentable shirt and throw on some jewelry to look presentable for you guys. But I literally finished my class 10 minutes before I logged in to you guys. So I teach 4 classes every week for them. They can either take the classes live or they can take them whenever they want. And it's $90 a month. You just Venmo me or Zelle me the money. Or if you're not ready to pay for classes, if you go to my regular Instagram, which is just ERC, my initials, 143, I have about 150 free workouts on my regular Instagram. You just go and then you find a workout that suits you. Some are with weights, some are jump rope, some are with bands, some are with gliders. A lot of different workouts in a lot of different places. Washington, D.C., Fire Island. I think I have one in Florida, Alabama when I was visiting family. So workouts all over the place, and you can take free workouts there as well. Thank you, Daryl. Daryl said I have a lot of personality. I love Daryl. Keep coming back, Daryl.
He's just
but yeah, but I think, you know, like, you know, Pedro was saying and Crystal was saying is like, you know, being at a gymnastics gym, I did adult gymnastics and fitness and acting and modeling. It's just, some of us, you look at it, you know, you may look at, you know, I'll put us on blast. You may look at Crystal or look at me and go, well, he's 5'10", how is he modeling? Or, you know, Crystal, you know, is not a 1, how is she modeling still? And, you know, or we're older now, how are they still being booked in all of these things? And a lot of it, like Daryl just said, is personality. They want to book people that they want to work with. And sometimes you could have the most beautiful person in the world, but either their look doesn't translate onto film or their look doesn't translate with the camera, because sometimes you may not even be the best looking person, but you look great in pictures, so they'll book you. Or sometimes it's just your personality and how well you work with everyone else. You know, I have an amazing experience with some of the people I work with Equinox and some of the people with DB Method, and I'm sure that helped, because whomever's doing the casting is thinking, well, how are these people going to gel together? How are they going to merge? How are those personalities going to work together? And that is also important when it comes to, you know, booking people. So,
oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's it.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Well, my brother.
Y'all were saying goodbye? I thought I was here for like, just kidding. No, I really appreciate you guys giving me an opportunity and the platform to, you know, speak to your people, and just commend you two on finding another avenue and another resource to promote yourselves and your brand and what you guys bring to the table, because I love following you and cracking jokes and messing with Crystal the way I used to mess with Crystal in the pew at the church. So
oh my God,
that happens virtually. So it's really amazing to see everything that you guys are doing and have done. So I appreciate it as well.
I always get a smile on my face when I see you on television or a commercial or something. You know, I was actually watching the time that you were on Fox 5, New York.
Recently.
The rooftop.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. About 2 months ago, I was on Fox 5. Oh my God, you want to talk about cold?
I know. It looked cold. It looked cold.
I was trying to look like I was warm though, Crystal. Did I at least do that? But
you did.
It was.
You did.
Literally, if the camera panned a little to the side, you would have saw my Canada Goose coat on the side. It was so cold outside. Oh my God. But like you say, we grin and we bear it and do the best we can.
Make it look good.
You have to make it look good.
Yeah. Well, that was fun.
Once again, we thank you for joining us. We will make sure this is all live on YouTube. It handles
is live on YouTube.
Your handles will be, and also where our viewers can buy the DB Method machine.
Somebody's sleeping on a couch tonight.
It's live everywhere.
Crystal, I saw that look. Crystal said.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you guys so much. I love you. I love your users. Too. They were so sweet. And you guys have a great night.
Thank you. You too.
Bye, guys.
Thank you so much. Well, that was funny. That was fun.
I promise I won't make you sleep on the couch. Let's bring in Ben
Brafman. Now, before you bring him in, you know, Ben Brafman is a very there's a lot of Ben Brafman.
Okay.
So
I'm not sure what that means, but I'm sure
you probably don't know that there's a lawyer that's very famous, Ben Brafman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He probably knows about that, so don't get confused. Ben.
Hey.
How you doing, Ben?
Hey, I'm doing well. Hey, Pete. Hey, Crystal.
Welcome to Tweed Talks, Ben. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, listen, I really enjoyed Eddie. I want to keep listening to him because I work out in a garage. So I figured, I'm sure he'd give us some tips, give me some tips on what to do. I also, have never modeled, and certainly, certainly if they asked me to shave part of my hair off, I would, in 2 seconds. That was pretty cool, though. That was pretty cool. I listened to the whole thing.
Right.
Yeah. He's
he's very funny.
One of my favorite people. But so you need to tell me about how many Ben Brafmans you know.
Well, I don't know. This is the one I know.
This is the one you know. Okay.
This is the one I know. There's some things about Ben that he probably don't even remember, but I'm going to tell you a story. When he was a little kid, we used to hang out together. Him and I think the other kid was Bradley.
Yeah, Bradley Jones?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So Ben and Bradley got me in trouble, but he didn't know about this.
Oh, you told me this earlier. This
is how it happened.
He doesn't remember.
You may not remember this.
I might. I don't know.
So they made the walk, the sidewalk to the neighborhood facility, and it was wet. Now it wasn't Ben, but it was Bradley. He wrote my name on the wet cement. And he put my name, and he put his name, and he puts Ben's name.
Okay.
You sure that wasn't me?
Probably, I don't know. But the next day I come in and said, and Buddy Goldsmith, that was the director back then, he said, why did you put your name on there? So those names are probably still there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how you been?
I've been busy. I haven't talked to you. I mean, I haven't seen you in it's gotta be 30 years.
Yes.
Right?
About 30 years.
Yeah, that's a long time. Yeah, no, I've been very busy. I'm a professional in the behavioral health space, as you know, as you've seen on social media, and right now I feel like now more than ever we need we need people to rise up and help each other out.
Absolutely.
So Ben, how was your experience during the shutdown? Did you have more people reaching out to you, or did you have an avenue to reach out to people that maybe you
So my experience was was pretty unique. I ran a rehab, substance abuse and mental health rehab in Florida, in Fort Lauderdale, and we were part of the in Florida they shut things down. They didn't shut things down, but we were part of the essential the essential workers. So we were never really shut down. It was threatened. But it was a crazy time because people left work and isolated themselves. And I don't know if you know this, but people could go home and get paid for a short period of time, while they didn't work. So you had that issue, and then I had patients that they were coming in from out of state and within state, and there was the threat of COVID, and in a 6-month period we had 1 or 2 COVID scares, but that was it. I mean, we followed all the protocols, and we made sure that everything was disinfected and clean. In fact, the staff got infected more than the patients did. So,
wow.
We had to deal with that. And I mean, literally, if you coughed, we sent you home.
Right.
You were home for 2 weeks. So it was, it was a crazy time. It still is. I mean, we're still, we're coming out of it and things are loosening up a little bit. But, to have that isolation in place, is devastating to a lot of families and a lot of the patients that we treated. One of the things that I did, I had the luxury of doing this because I have, it was a private institution, is that I just told them to stay because they really didn't have anywhere to go. And anywhere they went, it was a threat. So I just said, so stay, just stay. If I had the room, which I did, or make room, just stay as long as you possibly can, and we'll figure it out. So that was one of the things that that I was able to do, for the patients and their families.
Right, and you train people to do this.
You asked if I train people?
Yes.
Yes. No, I've been training professionals for a very long time, over the last 20 years. I've been in the behavioral health space since the early to mid 90s, and I grew up in the industry, and the last 20 years I've been training professionals from on every level, so that they can treat the patients clinically. It's a lot. You juggle a lot of balls in the air. The patients come in, they sort of come into treatment and they sort of fall from the sky. There's no really smooth way of somebody coming into treatment. They sort of stumble into treatment, and nobody is in treatment because they want to be in treatment. They're there because of consequences. So you're dealing with all of that, and there's some age differences, and you're dealing with that and the family, and literally your first day in treatment is the worst day of your life.
Wow.
It's just the worst day of your life. You're completely broken. So to be able to, my favorite thing ever as a professional, and it hasn't changed in all the years I've been doing this, is when you see somebody who is absolutely broken, who has no hope, who is helpless, hopeless, maybe they were suicidal or homicidal or whatever. And that's on day one or even before day one. And then 20, 30, 40, 60 days later, they look like they're completely different. Imagine Tom Hanks in Castaway at his worst versus Tom Hanks post The Island, where he's, clean shaven and he's getting his life back together. That's literally what happens. They look different. They feel different. They act different. And that gets me excited and gets me motivated now more than ever, because everybody has a chance. Everybody is redeemable. Everybody has hope. All of that stuff.
Mm-hmm. So I was one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on, not only because I know you, because my wife and I were talking about, we know Eddie and we know all these people,
right?
That where do you get your guests from? Right. We know them, But one of the reasons I wanted to bring you in is because a lot of people right now are going through depression, and then people started drinking during the pandemic, so that went up, and because you do. I saw one of the articles that you wrote about unipolar depression.
Say again, unipolar depression?
Right. And let me see.
I got it.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah. I heard of bipolar.
Oh, right. So yeah, just one of the first things that sticks out it says when we talk about depression, we are usually referring to unipolar depression. So sort of explain that a little bit, what that would mean.
So first off, there's several different types of depression, okay. And then there's different types of bipolar disorder. But the first thing that I want to say is that, and I'm going to say this because it's going to help the discussion along. I don't like the word depression. It doesn't hit home to what's really going on with somebody. You know, depression to me sounds like a traffic sign. You know, like depression ahead, or there's a bump ahead, or a speed bump, or look out for the depression around the corner. It doesn't satisfy what's really going on. It's really a dark abyss of black nothingness, and people are in a pit of despair. And what the article is referring to is a couple of things. Number one is bipolar disorder, that the person doesn't really get manic. They just have this constant depression across the board, which is why they call it what they call it. Maybe the depression is better at some days or some weeks or some months than others, but basically there's just a variation in the severity of the depression. But again, you're talking about when you're depressed, you can't do anything. Nice. You don't want to get out of bed. You don't want to shower. You don't want to eat. You could be suicidal depending on how bad it is. Your life is worthless, and people go through these bouts. And I just sent the article in on my LinkedIn about how your mental and physical well-being is so is so connected. Right. You start to be depressed, and all of a sudden, your diabetes is now out of control. You've had heart issues that are out of control. You've got chronic pain. You were talking about your pain earlier in the show, and if you were a different type of person, maybe you'd be crawled up in bed right now. I mean, that's what's happening right now with people, and the pandemic made it worse.
Right. Absolutely. Ben, there has been a rise over the past 13, 14 months in televisits with doctors for physical ailments or even mental, emotional struggles. So did you see a rise in your practice for televisits?
Yeah, in fact, it is a rise, and it is rising. I will tell you. I'll split this question up two ways. Okay. One is my personal view as a patient, right? That has experienced teletherapy or teledoctor or whatever medicine, and then the other side of it, right? My professional hat. First of all, I like the teletherapy and the telemedicine. It's quicker, it's more efficient. The doctors that know what they're doing, it's just you get seen faster. They actually talk to you differently. Yeah. They talk about diagnosis a little bit. I mean, that was my experience with the telemedicine. Mm-hmm. The flip side of it is, as a professional in behavioral health, yes, psychiatrists are definitely making this part of their profession. I don't think there's any going back. I think in a lot of ways, this could, I don't want to say revolutionize the industry, if that's too strong of a word, but this layer, we kind of broke through a ceiling here, and being able to communicate with people that are hundreds, if not thousands of miles away and actually impact their life is fantastic. Now, there's some drawbacks to it. You don't have the touchy-feely stuff and and you don't have, you don't have certain amenities that you get when you're visiting a doctor in person. But if you're skilled enough, you're going to be as effective. And what I mean by that is that if there's a doctor or therapist or whomever that's on the other side that knows what the heck they're doing and knows what they're dealing with your diagnosis, they're going to be very effective. This is like we're not going back to certain things. And I think this is a fantastic opportunity for us to actually draw closer I'll just speak about the United States, but just to draw closer as a country. I do consulting now, and a lot of my I travel a little bit, but a lot of my consulting is over Zoom, and I love it. I mean, I share screens, I share reports, I could have a meeting. It's really changed things. I find that you can be more efficient. And I will tell you this, from patient feedback, the patients are having a decent experience, mental health patients and substance abuse patients. But I would say more mental health are having a good experience with the teletherapy and the telemedicine. It's not going to help everybody, right? Like if you're a schizophrenic and you're psychotic, you need to go to the hospital, those kinds of things. Or if you're a drug addict and you're really, using drugs and, you need to do a detox, that's separate. So we know that it's for a certain type of patient, but really, I actually think it's fantastic. And I think that we can do more things with it and be more creative.
We have a comment right here.
We have a comment.
Daryl.
Oh, thank you, Daryl. Daryl's on a roll tonight.
He really is.
He always is.
He always is.
I'll tell you that I think soon it'll be kind of like Star Wars, or Star Trek. Well, we'll have these people in front of us, like a hologram. I mean, we got to be going in that direction. It's got to be that. You go into a special room and you put a certain mask on or something, and you're able to deal with somebody right there. It's pretty cool.
That is so funny because it just made me think of the scene from Avengers when right at the beginning of, I think it was Endgame, and they were talking to like these hologram type. It was hysterical.
Right. Yeah, you're moving around on the screen, and you can just press a button and not talk to anybody anymore. That's that's always a good thing.
I don't know. Did you see Star Wars?
Star Wars. The first couple,
that was the hologram.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it's just the originals. That's all I'm referencing. Just the originals.
Yeah, me too.
We're not talking about anything else.
So Ben, I learned a lot from your family. I went to my first Passover was at your house.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Where?
Yeah, there was, and I used to make a joke, but then because your mom, she meant so much to me. I remember when we went to a competition, and on the way back there was a snowstorm.
I remember this. Yes.
And we had to stop at a hotel, and we didn't know the hotel or anything like that.
Is this the soup lady?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then she said, "Don't worry about it." And she pulled out and started making soup. And I said, like, where did that come from? Because she was a nutritionist as well.
Great.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Listen, it was great. Those memories are great. I named a program after my mother, the Sylvia Brafman, mental health treatment program. And I'm actually, what happened is I sold my company in January, and I'm actually reopening the Sylvia Brafman Mental Health Center it looks like July. And the reason that I mention it and I tie it into your comments is because my mother, simply put, was the most empathetic individual that I've ever known. To this day, as I sit here, I don't know how she did it with 6 kids, and she had her own business, and she had a lot, just a lot going on, and she ended up with 18 grandchildren. But just an unbelievable person. And the reason that I named it after her is the following reason. Number one, about the empathy, but number two, she had this ability that when you were talking to her, you were the most important person in the universe in that moment. And that's what I want. That's what I want from a treatment. That's what people need, is that empathy and that compassion. And so for me to just strive to that, and to just to help out a small portion of the southeast corner of the United States and Florida, to me that means more than anything else. It's not about anything other than, man, if I can get this person to be a little bit better tomorrow than they were today, then it's gonna be all right. Like, the future's gonna be all right. And that was the one thing that always stood out for me. It was like this gift, this power that she had, that I've never seen. I've never seen an individual have that on another individual or group of people like she did.
That's beautiful.
Well, he's another person that I learned a lot from. I don't know if you remember her.
Who's that?
That's Andrea Ledina.
Oh, I remember her.
Yes. Yeah.
I remember her.
Yeah, she was a very, very, very good gymnast.
Absolutely. You had a lot of good gymnasts back then.
Right. On the thousands. A lot of
absolutely. No, I absolutely. In fact, you taught me how to stretch.
Yes.
You recall, I to this day, I remember the pain that I went through, where you literally were trying to split our legs open like chicken legs, like pushing us back, and if you can talk, you can breathe, all that other stuff. It was insane, I know you're a lot calmer now, you're like the Mr. Miyagi of Monticello, but it was I know it was great. And my sister has always fond memories of you too. Always, your coaching and your mentoring.
Yeah, I like the way they all turned out. It made me feel like I wasn't doing what I was doing for nothing. Andrea, she's one of the one, and she's watching now, but she's one of the one that I want to bring on the show as well.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. She's a physical therapist, and
she's a physical therapist?
Yes.
Yeah, we need those.
Yeah.
Especially after Pete stretches you.
Oh man, no, absolutely. No, we definitely need people like that. It's great.
Well, as Darryl said, we need people like you. And especially in this time, I was reading some of the stuff that you wrote, and I know that you're writing a book. When is that book?
Wow.
So the book, it took me 5 years to write it, because it's really not my strength, is to sit down and rehash things and write it down and be very detailed and very technical. It started off as a textbook. And the reason is that I run an academy called the Academy for Addiction Professionals. It's an online school now, but I wrote a textbook. I'm almost done. I'm literally done with it. It's being edited, but it's it's basically everything you need to know as a student to be a professional in the field of behavioral health. Mm-hmm. So it was that, and it's a large book. It's 350 pages.
Wow.
I mean, it's chock full of information, and I tried to make it interesting. I gave examples, but for me to be that disciplined, I literally would write, leave it, get really frustrated, then come back to it. Then I'd have like months where I'd be really at it, and then I would stop. Literally 5 years. So what I did recently to help myself out is and the editor that I have that's assisting me, he suggested this, and I actually have felt a lot better. Is I'm adding a professional memoir, to the textbook. So it's literally going to be stories that I experienced, things that I experienced growing up in behavioral health. So in this book, I'm going to be, of course, very technical and talking about the education and, what you should do and how you should follow. But then I'm going to match it up with what I experienced, through my career, starting off as what we used to call them a nurse aide, where I was taking people's temperatures and blood pressures. And that became what was known as a mental health technician, and then a behavioral health technician. And then, I got my master's degree in counseling and family therapy. And I grew up in the industry. I was, I've done everything, every role that there is in behavioral health. And then in 2006, I opened up Destination Hope, and I owned and operated Destination Hope for 15 years. But prior to that, I was a clinical director, a program director. I'm a supervisor for the state of Florida. Now I travel, and I'm a consultant, and writing this book and then thinking about those memories and the experiences that I had. And that's a much shorter piece of the book, but boy, did that help me a lot. It was like it put the finishing touches on it, because I've met so many interesting, diverse people in behavioral health all over the country, and I just know this industry like the back of my hand, and I know the personalities, and I've met some great people, and I've met some crappy people. I've met people that should have never gone into behavioral health, and I talk about that. And I've, to me, behavioral health was always like, it was always like Monticello to me. And in this way, I always viewed it as a small town. And the key to being successful in a small town is you got to get to know people, but like have your own little niche, have your own thing that you're doing, whatever that is. But then kind of know the mailman, and you want to know the doctor, and you want to know, the police officer, and you want to know Craig from the bagel bakery, and you want to know, you want to know the librarian. And so behavioral health to me was the same way. So as I grew up in this industry, I would really get to know like the social workers and the psychiatrists and the nurses, and I would get friendly with some of them and have professional relationships with them. And to this day, there's people that I know 25 years ago that I could pick up the phone or email, and we can connect like it was yesterday. And to me, that is the most, most important thing. And, and then there's the bad parts of town too. There's, unfortunately, just to compare it to Monticello, Monticello has struggled, with a lot of drug infestation and, bad actors. And my industry has those people, and they need to be, they need to be called out. They need to be identified. They need to be, they need to have consequences. And so it's a combination of that stuff. But I've never have viewed behavioral health as this overwhelming, insane circus act, that's too big to grasp. I've always viewed it as this small town, and I think it's one of the reasons that I've been able to maintain myself and stay invested for this long. I don't take things personally. I don't take things home. That's very important. I have good boundaries with patients and with staff and with all of that. And you have to have that. So it's to me, it's a lot of fun. I mean, I'm doing this now since the mid '90s, and I have more energy now than I did back then. And no question about it.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
You mentioned Craig. I know you're friends with him.
Yeah. I had to slip that in,
Yeah. No, that's okay. That's okay.
You got to be from Monticello to get that joke.
Right.
Yeah. The next joke you have to be from Monticello. What's the recipe on that bagel?
I don't know. Listen. We tried. Listen, I've been there. I was there enough times at 4:00 in the morning. Having a bagel with butter or cream cheese, with a yoo-hoo, trying to figure that out. And I still don't know.
Because we travel a lot. Mm-hmm. When she's doing films or I'm doing gymnastic meet, we had never found a bagel that tastes that good.
Never. I had him ship me down like a dozen bagels a few months ago, just cause, it was time.
But it's totally normal, because anyone we know who's moved away and they come to visit, like my sister, she was in the military for 20 years. And every time she would get a leave and she would come home, she would go to the bagel bakery for breakfast. Then she would go to Chinatown Kitchen for lunch.
Nice. Nice. You gotta have that stuff.
Yeah. My daughter just went back to school a couple of weeks ago, and she took 24 bagels with her. Back up
right?
No, that's fantastic.
Tell me about Asan. ASAM.
Mm-hmm.
AS what?
ASAM. Pedro wrote it. I don't know what it says.
Maybe you're talking about ASAM.
Yeah, ASAM. Yeah.
ASAM. American Society of Addiction Medicine.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
What do you want to know about it?
well, just the way that you said it, you probably said everything from that.
No. It's okay. So the American Society of Addiction Medicine, they sort of govern the levels of care that go on in behavioral health treatment. Behavioral health treatment is basically the umbrella for all mental health and substance abuse services. Mm-hmm. And so they have certain criteria. For example, they have a code or a number system that they use, and based on that number system, they have a definition of what a patient's functioning should be at that level. And so as a treatment center, whatever level of care you are, outpatient or inpatient or in between, you have a criteria that you have to document appropriately. For example, so if Pete was in an inpatient psychiatric hospital and he came in and he was suicidal and he was very, very depressed, but like a day or two later, he was totally fine, he wouldn't meet criteria anymore to be in the hospital. So they would want to discharge him to a lower level of care. So the American Society of Addiction Medicine has, they have this criteria set up for professionals and for these places, so that you know what to say to the insurance companies, right? How do you get paid, right? Well, you have to follow a certain criteria. So So then you follow a certain criteria, and most insurance companies, most, not all, they use the ASAM criteria. And so they go, well, it meets ASAM criteria, so we'll give you a few more days. Or it doesn't meet the ASAM criteria, so we won't give you any more days. So that's where that comes from. Now, I have some issues with ASAM over the years, and I do need to backtrack on something. It's mostly involved with addiction medicine. Not always involved with mental health. And I just wanted to clarify that. But you can imagine that about 80% of people with mental health issues, or about 85%, have a substance abuse issue. It may not be primary, but they do. So the American Society of Addiction Medicine still is prevalent. But I just wanted to make that little distinction.
Of course.
So my issue with them is they are really going after the recovering community, meaning that you're a drug addict, you're an alcoholic, and you go into recovery. You get off the booze, you get off the drugs, you go to meetings, you go to self-help, AA and NA groups. I'm sure they had AA or NA groups at the neighborhood facility, Pete, at some point or somewhere, whatever, just, somewhere. And so what they're saying is that the efficacy of those meetings, they used to be good, but they're not as good. They're not as good, or they're not as effective as they used to be. So they're starting this sort of separation from integrating the 12-step treatment, which is the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous and all that. And saying it's really separate from a rehab, from treatment. Now, my issue with that is if you wanna separate the two, I'm fine with that, because recovery is not treatment and treatment is not recovery. Okay. Like you can like tonight, Pete can go on a 3-day bender and just drink and do cocaine and do all kinds of crazy stuff. And he may end up being in a treatment center. It doesn't mean that he's a drug addict. It doesn't mean that he's an alcoholic. It could, but it probably doesn't mean that. So he should get the treatment that he needs, get stable, and sort of move on. So you may never experience the 12 steps. However, the concept of the 12 steps is based in philosophy, religion, and psychology. And so is a lot of counseling theories. And so there is a place for it within treatment, plus the themes behind the 12 steps, things like acceptance and honesty, openness, willingness. What I just rattled off, those concepts, you could put them anywhere, right? And that is part of theories. That is part of major theories that go on in treatment. Is how are you honest, with people? People forget honesty is not a feeling; it's a behavior. And so when you put it in that vein and you discuss honesty, you're talking about ways in which clinical ways to get people to do things differently. But in the same breath, I can say, well, I'm also, for recovering folks, I'm talking about some of the ideas of the 12 steps. So the ASAM is sort of separating the two. So, like for example, if, AA is like self-help, so it's not professional, and that's true. It's not run professionally, never has been. But there are millions of people in this world, literally millions of people in this world that have gone to AA and NA 12-step groups, and their lives are better. Period. End of discussion. It's an absolute. So for a higher level educated folks to have that kind of judgment right now, I really struggle with that. And in fact, I take it a step further. that they are so out of touch with reality that they are now they're skipping some steps within treatment. The COVID, and it was even before COVID, but COVID has really brought out a lot more depression and anxiety, and a lot more needs, not only of individuals, but of people of color, people of race, and it needs to get the attention that it deserves. I actually want it to be politicized, absolutely want it to be within politics, because I think it'll get the attention that it deserves. But ASAM needs to, they need to react to this and say, okay, we're the ones that dictate level of care and criteria. We've got all these people that before really weren't part of treatment, which I can discuss if you wish. And now they are. What are we going to do with these people? Where are they going to go? And so it's paramount now that a umbrella, an umbrella service like the ASAM is make sure that they get this right. And they're not getting it right now. They must integrate the 12 steps with treatment, and they've got to address the cultural differences that we have and the color differences that we have.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you brought up a can of worms there, Pete.
Oh no, that
was good.
That was good. We wanted that to come out because a lot of times we're holding things back. People used to say, how do you do those push-ups? I say, mind over matter. They always say, it's mind over matter, right? So, yeah, if you don't mind, it don't matter.
Right.
but everything that you brought up is on point.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Daryl is right.
Yeah, I like what he was saying about
we got to have more people like you.
That.
Yes.
No, I appreciate that. Oh wow, yeah, Lefties was great French onion soup. The best.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I remember that.
Absolutely. Yeah, but no, we have an opportunity now as a country to really do some things, and I really hope we get it right. I really do, because things are messed up. Family systems are messed up. It's it's not good.
We could do it. I'm an optimist. I think we could do it.
I think we can too.
Sometimes
I think we can.
Yeah. There's a saying that when you take a ball, if you just drop it, it bounces a little bit. But if you slam it really hard on the floor, if the ball is full of something, it will bounce up higher. So I think now that we went through, really slamming it down, I think we're going to bounce higher, because there's people like yourself and there's people like myself that are actually trying to make a change.
Yeah.
A lot of times the people that make the most noise are not the one trying to do something. They just try to complain.
Right.
But we have a plan, and I think that we're going to succeed. I think I'm an optimist. I'm optimistic about that.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, you know what? I agree. Optimism is a strategy, and I like to think I used it every day. To be successful and to really hone in on what's good. And I've been accused sometimes of being too optimistic. And really, dreaming a little bit. I don't care. I don't care. I think we got to give everybody a shot.
Right.
Ben, we have a question here.
Sure.
I'm going to post it right here.
Okay.
So Diane's question is, there are a lot of individuals that need treatment but can't afford it, and they are sometimes dismissed. How is that addressed?
So it's a great question. They're not addressed. They fall through the cracks a lot of times. One of the things I can't stand about behavioral health is that there are some really great programs out there, whether it's for-profit, nonprofit, Medicaid, Medicare, insurance, not insurance, indigent, whatever it is, and nobody knows about them. Nobody knows about them. And the reason they don't know about them is because the industry is so fragmented right now. One of the things, the advantages that we have as a country right now, and literally as states, individual states, behavioral health is in its infancy stages right now. It's one of the reasons that it's fragmented and it's sort of all over the place right now. It's immature, and it really doesn't have its act together. There's a lot of there's a lot of things wrong with it. One of the things being that behavioral health in a lot of avenues is not regulated by the federal government, and it's not even regulated state by state. Wow. So that is a struggle. And so one of the things that I can say is to reach out, to reach out to as many programs as you possibly can that are state funded. You also can visit the Medicaid and Medicare websites. If you have no money whatsoever. Mm-hmm. To see what programs are out there. The other thing is that treatment centers will offer scholarships to individual private treatment centers. I did. I know that I did. I actually I used about $300,000 in scholarship money annually for people that we knew wouldn't be able to afford treatment.
Wow, that's amazing.
So there are good actors out there, and there is treatment available. You have to you have to try to find it. I will say this: I can be a resource for individuals, and sometimes I feel like I'm holding back the ocean with the broom when I say this, because I'm only one person. But anybody that can't afford something, especially a local, if it's Monticello, but anybody that can't afford something, I'd love to take a shot and see if I could connect the dots for them and see if there's actually resources out there. That is one of the most frustrating things about the industry that I'm in. I'm actually embarrassed when I have to admit this, but I will tell the truth. As far as that goes, it's definitely one of the weaknesses. People are falling through the cracks. That's part of the problem. In fact, I'm gonna bring this up. So I read an article today, and I commented on it. They're developing a vaccine for fentanyl drug abuse. So basically, this vaccine, you would take it twice a year, and it would assist you and it would assist you in your fentanyl drug habit, either by curbing your cravings or you're not going to get as high, or you're not going to die if you take fentanyl. And my argument is great, and my argument is, I'm going to tell you, there's $25 million grant money that's going towards these folks that are researching this vaccine. Fantastic. Who gives a crap about a vaccine for fentanyl? Fentanyl is end stage drug addiction that if you're taking fentanyl, you're almost dead anyway. And so it has nothing to do with the problem. The problem is, what about withdrawal? What about tolerance? What about the way, the way in which addicts and mentally ill people behave? How about a vaccine for that? How about a vaccine for the phenomenon known as cravings, right? That's at the heart of the disease of addiction, is the phenomenon known as cravings. Like, I can't stop my cravings. I have to have these drugs. I will do anything. I will kill you to get my drugs. How about a vaccine for that?
Right.
How about a vaccine so that somebody's not schizophrenic, or if they are schizophrenic, they're not hearing voices anymore. I don't give a shit. I'm sorry. I don't care about a fentanyl vaccine. Who cares? Right. You know why it's getting publicity? Because statistically it's killing people. Who cares? It's fentanyl. Let me tell you something. Fentanyl was made for actually good reasons. It was made for chronic pain. And I'm not talking about like Pete, you and I, we can't get up in the morning because we're old. It's not that. I'm talking about like end stage cancer and stuff like that. Take your fentanyl, and if you're going to overdose on fentanyl, it's already too late. Right. So my frustration is, and I don't want to get off the point. My frustration is $25 million is going towards research on a vaccine that won't do anything. Who cares if there's a vaccine for fentanyl use? Wow. I want a vaccine where I don't have cravings anymore. Right. I want a vaccine where I can actually, the withdrawal and tolerance level, right, that I go through and that I swing through as a drug addict is manageable, so I can get my life back together. Right. Or I want a vaccine where I'm not as bipolar, so I'm not crazy, so I don't wake up in California where the day before I was in New York. That's the vaccine that we need, not this. It's ludicrous. Anyway, I had to mention that.
Yeah, I'm glad you did.
Appreciate it, and we appreciate Diane. That was a great.
That was a great question from Diane. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Diane found our parents from our gymnast.
Nice.
So for our viewers, you can find Ben online at benbrafman.com, and you can reach out to him for consulting work. We will put his email and his contact information. And also here on this, we have several phone numbers, 800 numbers for the National Suicide Prevention Line. There's the Spanish contact line here, Lifeline Crisis, National Helpline for SAMHSA. What are those? Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services. There it is, right next to what
SAMHSA.
SAMHSA.
You can also put my cell phone on there. I'm happy to take calls.
I think we have that here. We will make sure before this video is posted on YouTube, we'll go in and we will edit it and we'll put all that information in. So if you care to contact Ben for any of those purposes, his contact information will be included.
We actually have a lot of viewers on YouTube right now.
Oh, that's great.
Right there.
Oh, okay. Ben, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It was such a pleasure meeting you, and thank you.
You're welcome. You as well.
Knowledge and just your commitment to the health and wellness of people.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's I'm enjoying myself, and it's fun, and I love helping people, especially the underdog. That's what it should be.
I love that, because with Eddie, we talked about doing something that you love.
Yep.
You have to do something that you love.
Just one last thing I wanted to say about that. That prompted me to think about this. People don't hate what they do. They're just bored. They don't hate what they do. They're just bored. They're disinterested. Mm-hmm. You got to find some passion and love in your life, and that's right. To me, that's what it's about. I think people are okay with their jobs, generally speaking. Like a job, you make money, you take care of your family. That type of. They're just not. They're bored.
Mm-hmm.
Bored. So get on board.
Get on board.
That's
do something you're passionate about.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Well, Ben, it was a pleasure.
Thank you.
I'm glad that you came on. I was happy that you were coming on when you said yes, and you were so enthusiastic about it. Mm-hmm. I love it. And when your book comes out, let us know so we could do another, even short talk.
Mm-hmm. I will. I think I think it'll be, just to be conservative. I think September. I think that's I think that's, maybe over the summer, but I'm thinking more September at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So looking forward to it.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Sounds great.
Thank you for joining on Tweed Talks, Ben. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye. Well, what a night. What a night. Mm-hmm. So we did body and mind.
Yes. Yes.
If you don't mind. Yeah, I don't separate the two. I don't separate the body and the mind.
Oh yes, I love how he said that it's, they're both connected.
Mm-hmm.
They're both connected.
Yeah. People try to separate it, but where the mind goes, the body goes.
You tried to separate it too, and you was like, yeah, I know I can do this, but your body was like, no, you need to rest.
Well, that's a different type of But look, I got up and walked over here, and
you did.
We want to thank all the viewers from on YouTube, because I'm noticing that we got a lot of viewers there, and the viewers are regular. Jerry, nice to see you.
Jerry,
we haven't seen you in a while.
Welcome back. Welcome back, Diane. Thank you for tuning in. I saw your message, Diane, but I couldn't get to it. But obviously, you see that Pete is fine.
Yeah, it was nice to, with this format, that I was able to watch the kids while they were working out, and Haley did pretty good.
You're so funny because you were clapping.
I was clapping, but
I heard him clapping. I think they heard you, but I heard you. I was in the other room, like he's actually clapping on Zoom with the kids.
How is that happening? I didn't even press.
It was adorable.
Yes.
Jerry, thank you both for setting this up. Glad I'm able to watch. Jerry, we missed you.
We missed you.
We missed you. We were looking back at old shows, and we saw how, our regulars used to comment a lot. And I'm like, hey, what happened to Jerry? I still see his posts. He posts about his family and all that good stuff. But, it's good to see you back on.
Yeah, your kids, they're fantastic.
Adorable.
I saw when one of them was picking the other one up and carrying him. They're cute.
Oh my goodness.
So that was an excellent show. And, we're lucky to have the people that we had on our life when we were younger. And we're lucky that they want to come in. I mean, these people, they have been on television, they've been everywhere, and they still want to come on a little show because we know them.
As soon as Ben said the word cough, someone coughed, we sent them home. I had a coughing spell, and I was trying not to cough. I was like, I kept clearing my throat, and as soon as he said the word cough, I started coughing. But I promise you that I'm fully vaccinated.
I'm fully vaccinated too.
Yes, you are.
And one of these days we're gonna put the video up of vaccination.
Yeah,
it's funny. It is funny.
So coming up next week on Monday is going to be
Music Monday.
Music Monday.
We have one of the guests. I'm waiting for the other one to.
We have one of the guests booked. You guys, be ready to dance.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Get your dancing shoes
on. Be ready to dance. This young man is such an amazing DJ. I have seen him perform in person and also virtually, because everyone's doing virtual things now. And he is amazing. So we can't wait to have him on Monday. Jerry says he's glad we're both fully vaccinated. Still be cautious. We are, Jerry. We're still wearing our masks.
We're still wearing masks. We're still being cautious.
There's something that I wanted to mention, and
What's the name of the guest that's coming on next week?
Oh, do we want to announce it?
Yeah.
Oh,
sure.
okay.
Coming up next week.
Coming up next Monday is Brandon DJ Shark.
And there's another Brandon, right?
We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see. We may have a 2 for that day, Brandon and Brendan. So
or the other musician.
Or
this
we have a plethora of guests that we could bring on. So I'm just, trying to stay afloat with what is going on.
For the parents that will worry about me, is beginning to feel better.
Well, only one person asked about you, so whatever.
Yeah, so I will see you on the next show.
The next show, yes.
And as always, love, peace, and harmony.
And harmony.
And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.